How's it going, YouTube? Got something very special for you today. Just went to my local store and picked up my first copy of the Realm of Light structure deck for the Lightsworn archetype. And let me tell you, I have been on the Lightsworn bandwagon way back in the day when your Yu-Gi-Oh channel was playing Light Ray Lightsworns. That's when I picked up the deck. I really liked how Jay Dallas could blow up the spellbook players, Tower and 2 other cards. But once Raiden was released not too long after that, I was just like, wow, this deck is going to be so consistent. And the funny thing is, Lightsworn topped top 4 of the European Nationals this past couple weeks, and they haven't even released Felice yet, which I consider to be one of the best cards in the deck. And the thing about all these Lightsworns being released, even if they aren't that good, like Minerva, actually Minerva's pretty good, but she's really only like a one-of, but that helps the deck so much because it just makes JD so much more easy to summon with so many different Lightsworn names. And the one that helps the most is this one right on the front, Michael. I think he's called the Arc Lightsworn now. It's changed a couple times, but he's riding atop the Judgment Dragon right here, and the fact that you can summon Lumina, use Lumina's effect to bring back Raiden, or in the future Felice, make a level 7 Michael, and that's 3 Lightsworn names right there. You just need one more, which is very easy to summon Judgment Dragon like first turn or second turn. But enough about Lightsworn. Time to move on to more about Lightsworn. Time to get to the box opening, I guess. Oh, I'm destroying it. Here we go. Alright. Put that over there. Don't have too much space, room to shoot this. And there's the big man himself, Mini JD. Let's see what Michael the Arc Lightsworn. That's what I thought. This guy is definitely not as good as JD, but you pay 1,000 life points just like JD to target one card on the field, banish that target. You can banish, the thing about this is that you can banish spells and traps, so even if they don't have a monster out, you can still make advantage off of this. It's just an instant +1, and if this isn't really so much a problem anymore, but Lightsworn used to deck themselves out a bunch. But then Michael's effect is when he's destroyed, you can shuffle as many Lightsworn monsters as you want from the graveyard back into the deck, which can basically reset your whole engine. Very, very good addition to the Lightsworn family. Although, I'm not sure what's better, Michael or Raiden. The version of the deck that topped wasn't like a synchro-based deck, because I guess Xyz monsters are just stronger at this point in the meta. But when Raiden came out for a while, I ran in a, Black Dragon, Collapse Serpent, Raiden, Felice, and White Dragon Wyver Burster engine, where you could just pump out stuff like Stardust Spark Dragon, and even Beals like nobody's business with Unknown Synchron. But let's just talk more about the cards on the deck. There, look how that shiny. Look at that shiny, shiny Michael the Lightsworn. Arc Lightsworn, I'm going to have to get in the habit. This is the new TCG card. I was so... TCG exclusive card. I was so pumped when I heard that TCG was getting an exclusive Lightsworn card. But it's really not that good. Man, I wish you guys were here to smell these cards. It's got that new card smell. I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about. But this card, in theory, could be good with Celestia and like Judgment Dragon. And combined, if you wanted to run, Lightsworn Barrier, because it also can protect Lightsworn Barrier and can protect your smaller Lightsworns from Judgment Dragon. But it really doesn't matter when you're protecting your smaller Lightsworns from Judgment Dragon. Usually if you blow up the whole field, you summon Tempest and Blaster, and that's game most of the time, and multiple dragons, Light Ray Diabolos even. So this really seems like an unnecessary card. They're just better cards in the archetype. And I was hoping for a field spell for Lightsworn that the effect is when it is sent from the deck to the graveyard, activate it in the field spell zone. That would be so good. Like I don't know, I don't understand why they didn't make the design like that. Just make the spells like the monsters. But maybe someone would argue that'd be too broken, but I think that's the only way you can really start putting more spells and traps. Career Bandit was a very big help to the deck, being allowing them to run more spells and traps. But we need even more. I'm just a greedy Lightsworn player, I guess. The Raiden and Minerva and Michael wasn't enough. And there she is. I've never even seen this card in real life, to be honest. And the detail on the cards in real life are so much better than the ones on like the Dueling Network and DevPro. So it's cool to look at them the first time. This card is really good, and it can even be teched into Shadal's. When I first started playing Shadal's, I put Minerva in as the light target for Nephilim, because not only does she mill more Shadal's when she's sent from the deck to the graveyard off of Shadal Fusion, when you use Super Poly and discard her, even though you can't respond to Super Poly, and normally if you discard the Shadals for Super Poly cost activation, their effects won't go off, Minerva's effect will go off. It's like, because it's mandatory and it says if, so it just never misses timing, even on Super Poly, which but there are probably better options at this point, like what's that one called? Apparently we're not getting it in the TCG, but it's the, I cannot remember, the Star Seraphs have too much draw power. But Minerva is a good card, and I'm glad she exists, because she allows Lumina into Minerva into Goyo Guardian. That's right, Goyo is back. It is one way to summon it in Lightsworn. And beforehand, we just had to run HDS Psymyth, which is a subpar card, so I'm looking forward to running Goyo again. And here he is, the man of the hour, Raiden, Lightsworn Assassin. I refuse to say his new Americanized name. Hand of the Lightsworn? What does that even mean? That just reminds me of Hand of the Sixth Samurai, who's like a dumbass. Just not a good card. But this card is so good. Mills 4 cards in one turn, and what makes him, he's like a card trooper with well, card trooper technically does have 1900 attack when it activates his effect, but he stays at 1900 on the opponent's turn. And most of the time, what's good about him being able to send cards to the grave straight away is that all other Lightsworns have to send it at end phase. Like, you can summon Raiden, mill 2, and then like summon a dragon ruler off the 2 dragons you just sent into the grave off of Raiden's effect, or like mill a wolf or something if you run wolf, and synchro into a level 8 for like nothing, just a 1 card level 8. Plus then wolf plus Raiden, you'd already be halfway to getting your Judgment Dragon. This card is just broke as hell. It's the best level 4 tuner in the game, even if he wasn't a Lightsworn, because most, I think the highest other attack is Rose, I don't know, it's Rose something. She has 1600 attack, level 4 tuner, fire, and when she inflicts damage, inflict 300 damage to your opponent. And the second, or actually the first highest one is Wind Mist Valley Soldier or something like that. He's 1700, level 4 wind tuner. Raiden can go up to 1900, which is the highest attack, period. And he can mill 4 cards, and he's a light, so he's just so much better. And a warrior for reinforcement of the army. Raiden will help out a lot of synchro decks, not just Lightsworn, because synchro decks also like milling stuff to the grave for stuff like Junk Synchron. And Junk Synchron's dark, like this is perfect for a chaos deck. Like, people might start putting Raiden instead of what's her name, Lila, in like randomly tech decks, even though or they might like replace Raikou with Raiden. But let's just go through the rest of the cards really quick. Alexandrite Dragon. This is so random. This Whoa, why would anyone run this? A 2000 beater? Is there a rescue rabbit somewhere in here? There's probably not even a second Alexandrite. Like, it's food for the Blaster, Tempest, and Redox, but they don't even come in the structure deck. This makes absolutely no sense other than the fact that it's a light. I guess it's a light for a Light Ray Diabolos, but moving on. The big man himself, Judgment Dragon, absolutely the best effect in the game. Pay 1,000 life points to wipe the board clean, except for himself. And he's a 3,000 beater. Nuff said, best card in game, JD. They don't give you 2 copies of JD. That kind of sucks. Graganeth, not as good as Celestia, so he like never really sees any play. But when I'm playing like noob duels, or like when I used to play Lightsworn, I would run Graganeth, and he would honestly get up to like 4,000k piercing damage. So he's honestly not that bad. They're just better cards. There's Celestia. Celestia is so good, but you normally don't want to run Celestia unless you have like a Celestia based deck, really, because she's inconsistent at 1, but when her effect goes off, and like you don't really run Raikou anymore, and you can just make an Exceed, but Celestia pops 2 cards and mills 4, which is really good. You can't talk trash about Celestia, even though no one really runs her in the meta anymore. There's Jane, the Lightsworn Paladin, the first Lightsworn I ever pulled. Really the only Lightsworn I ever pulled. I ordered like the rest off the internet and this structure deck. So, and that was way, way back in the day when like Gravekeepers were the meta. I pulled Jane, and that's when I quit. So Lightsworns will always have a special place in my heart because of Jane. 2 copies of Jane. Completely unnecessary. I don't know why anyone would ever run more than 1 copy of Jane. But what thing I love about this structure deck, 2 copies of Lila. That is pretty generous of Konami, because Lila was like the most expensive Lightsworn because everyone wants to tech this biddy into their decks in like Chaos and anything that mills, because she's like an MST that's also a 1700 body and mills. Lila is just a very good card. She even works well in spell books if you're just goofing around. Garroth is OP. Like Lumina Garroth means next turn I will kill you. And also he works so well with Raiden, because if you have Raiden on the field, draw a Garroth, slap down that Garroth, activate Raiden's effect, you'll send 4 cards to the graveyard, and you might even draw 2, which is just a really good combo. Then you can sync up, or you can just end phase. Raiden's effect will activate again, activating Garroth's effect again, which, because Raiden's effect is split up into 2 activations, so Garroth goes off twice. Just really nice. 1850 isn't that bad either. Wolf, I've never really Wolf is like kind of inconsistent, but you can't deny that when you get crazy Wolf mills, like that is just the brokest part of the Lightsworn archetype. Well, not really. Obviously Judgment Dragon. There used to be a really good combo, Foolish a Wolf, and then sack for Celestia, blow up their field. Well, just 2 cards, and then mill 4 was a really good combo. So Wolf will always have a good place in the Lightsworn deck. Well, maybe not, but in the Lightsworn hearts. Erin is a pretty good card. She mills 3. I wish she was like 1800 or something, but she, when she attacks a defense position monster, she shuffles it back into the deck instead of sending it to the graveyard. The only thing would be better is if she sent it before it flipped face up, because like their stuff will still flip up like Gear Armor, unfortunately. But it works against the Ice Hand and Fire Hand. Lumina, another generous move on Konami's part. 2 Lumina. Lila and Lumina were the most expensive part of this deck, and now everyone has access to them. Thank you, Konami. I guess I could say that about the whole deck, but it'd be crazy if they only gave you 1 Lumina, because the best play is like Lumina into Lumina. So you really need 3 Lumina, because the more you have, the merrier. The more Lumina, the merrier. Arcus, this card sucks. Moving on. Shire, she kind of sucks too. Yeah, she's not good. 2 Raikou. This is really like, usually decks only have 1 of, so it's kind of weird to see 2 Lumina, 2 Lila, 2 Jane, 2 Raikou. Raikou is just a classic card, very good. Pop 1, mill 3. It's just like a improved Maneater Bug, and he's a Lightsworn. What do you got to complain about? Honest, most broken card in game. Honest steals games. Honest is unfair. Moving on. I love him. I wish he was at 3. Light Ray Diabolos, aka JD number 2. This card really helps in the Lightsworn decks because it makes you rank 7s with like the E-Dragons or even another copy of itself to make Dracossack Big Eye, and it can basically get rid of one set card your opponent controls per turn, which can, and also sends it to the top of the deck if it's a bad card. So you it's basically like Yatagarasu. So this is a legal 2800 beater Yatagarasu. Why aren't you running 3 in any even a non-light deck? This card is a good side deck card because it blows up field spells. Violon Prism, broken when you make Stardust Spark Dragon, 3500 Violon Prism, very good play. Fabled Raven, that's a dumb card to have in this deck. I guess it's a... What the heck? Fabled Cerebi? This makes no sense. Zephyros, I wouldn't run him. I guess you can bounce stuff back like Lumina and JD if you want to keep them safe in the hand, but I think there are better cards available. Necrogarna, the top player that ran Necrogarna didn't run him, so... When Electromagnetic Turtle comes out, well, basically Rainbow Karibo is better than Necrogarna because it's 2 Necrogarnas, plus it's a light for Diabolos. Realm of Light, this is a stupid card. And they gave us 2. Thank you, Konami. Solar Recharge, not as good as Charge of the Light Brigade. I wish Charge of the Light Brigade would go back to 3. That would make this deck broken as hell. Monster Reincarnation, better than, what's that card? I wouldn't run this either, but it's better than Beckoning Light because people are just going to end-phase face your Beckoning Light game 1 because they have all these dead-ass MSTs, so... Foolish for sending the 1 Lightsworn you need to the grave. Mostly want to send Wolf because then it summons itself, so... Glorious Illusion, Revive 1, Lightsworn. This honestly isn't that bad of a card. This card is actually really good if your opponent has no destruction ability, because you can just negate basically any attack against Lightsworns, especially Lumina because she's so weak, and just mill your whole deck. It's basically like the Naturia Beast for magic cards, except for attacks. Because you can, it's not a downside to keep milling from your deck, so it's for free. It's advantage, really. Vanquishing Light, it's basically like that Satella Knight card where it's just negate, except you don't draw cards, so it's a worse version of that. Beckoning Light, the card I was just talking about. Skill Successor, so 800 attack points, great. I don't give a shit, that's a bad card. Breakthrough Skill! This is half the reason I bought this deck is because Breakthrough Skill murders artifacts, and I hate that deck. It's so boring. Yes, I play that deck sometimes because just to basically learn it. And moving on. That's it. That's the whole deck. Thank you for joining me today. This has been Psycho Magician, signing out.